For years, officers Rickman and Hardy acted like Cypress Bayou belonged to them. Every so-called trespasser was just another black resident to harass. But when they arrested a quiet black man on his own porch, they believed he was powerless. They didn't care to ask who he really was. They never imagined they'd picked a fight with the director of the FBI. The morning sun cast long shadows across Cypress Bayou's tired streets as Dr. Malcolm Everett's black sedan came to a stop. His childhood home stood before him, its white paint peeling, the porch steps wearing the scars of countless footsteps. 25 years, he whispered to himself, climbing the creaking steps. Inside, dust motes danced in the shafts of morning light. Family photos hung in their original places. Malcolm picked up a framed photograph from the mantel. "I made it, Mama," he said softly. "Just like you always said I would." A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Mrs. Edna Willis, her silver hair catching the morning light, smiled warmly. "Lord have mercy, if it isn't little Malcolm Everett." Malcolm opened the screen door. "Mrs. Willis, you haven't aged a day." Her expression turned serious. "Things aren't what they used to be, Malcolm. These new police they brought in, they don't know us. Don't want to know us." She leaned closer. "The Jackson family, 3 doors down, gone last month. Bank claimed they missed payments, but Mariah Jackson never missed a payment in her life." Malcolm listened intently. "How long has this been happening?" "About 2 years now. Ever since that new development company started buying up land." "People are scared, Malcolm. Those who speak up tend to find themselves in trouble with these new officers." "Thank you for telling me, Mrs. Willis. Just be careful, Malcolm. This isn't the same town you left." Malcolm spent the next hour unpacking. Taking his coffee outside, he settled into one of the old wooden chairs on the porch. The quiet morning air was broken by the low rumble of engines. 2 police cruisers appeared, moving slowly, deliberately. Malcolm raised his coffee mug slightly. The officers didn't respond, their eyes fixed on him as they rolled by. The late morning sun beat down as Malcolm stood on his porch, carefully wiping decades of grime from an old brass house number. A police cruiser's engine growled to a stop in front of his house. Heavy car doors slammed. "Hey you, what do you think you're doing?" The voice was sharp, aggressive. Malcolm turned slowly to face 2 officers. "Good morning, officers. Is there something I can help you with?" Officer Rickman took an aggressive step forward. "We've had reports of suspicious activity. This is private property. You want to explain what you're doing here?" "I'm cleaning my house number. This is my property." The second officer, Hardy, let out a derisive laugh. "Your property, right? Let's see some ID. Hands where we can see them." Rickman barked, his hand moving to his weapon. "Both hands up now." Malcolm raised his hands carefully. "My identification is in my inner coat pocket." I'm reaching for it very slowly. With deliberate movements, Malcolm retrieved his wallet. Rickman snatched it. "This says you're Malcolm Everett. You expect us to believe this is your house." "It is my house. I inherited it from my parents." "Shut up," Rickman cut him off. "This ID could be fake. Turn around and put your hands behind your back." Rickman moved with sudden violence, grabbing Malcolm's arm and slamming him face first against the wall. Cold metal bit into his wrists as the handcuffs clicked shut. "I am not resisting," Malcolm said through gritted teeth. "This is an illegal arrest, and you're using excessive force." Across the street, Mrs. Willis emerged. "You leave him alone. That's Dr. Everett. This is his house." "Ma'am, stay back or you'll be next," Rickman warned, shoving Malcolm toward the stairs. Malcolm was marched to the patrol car. Through the window, he could see Mrs. Willis standing on her porch, phone raised high, her face a mask of righteous anger. "You're making a serious mistake," Malcolm said quietly from the back seat. "Shut your mouth," Rickman snapped, starting the engine. Officer Rickman's grip remained painfully tight as he marched Malcolm through the double doors of the Cypress Bayou Police Department. "Look what we caught trespassing on Oak Street," Rickman announced proudly. Malcolm kept his posture straight. "I'd like to contact my lawyer now." The booking sergeant took his time shuffling papers. "Name: Dr. Malcolm Everett. And I'm formally requesting my phone call. The law requires you to allow me to make a phone call. I'm also noting that you've yet to read me my rights." Chief Ray Dalton strode in, his considerable bulk wrapped in a poorly fitted uniform. "What's all this about?" "Caught this one trespassing on Oak Street, Chief," Rickman reported. Dalton circled Malcolm slowly. "Getting real mouthy about his rights." Chief Dalton, I presume. I'm still waiting for my phone call. Get him his damn phone call, Dalton growled. Malcolm dialed from memory. This is Malcolm Everett. I'm at the Cypress Bayou Police Department. Yes. Thank you. He was led to a small cell. Minutes ticked by. Then a phone rang. The station fell silent except for the chief's voice, now suddenly uncertain. Yes, sir. I understand, sir. But we had no way of. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Malcolm watched through the cell bars as Chief Dalton's face drained of color. The man's hands were shaking, his eyes darting to the holding cell with something new in them. Fear. Within the hour, Dalton's meaty hand trembled as he unlocked Malcolm's cell. My office. Now, through the glass walls, they could see multiple phones ringing simultaneously. Yes, Director Matthews, I understand the severity. Dalton's voice cracked. We had no idea that Dr. Everett was. A sharp voice cut through the speaker. That's FBI Director Everett to you, Chief Dalton. On another line, the state attorney general's voice boomed. Chief, you better pray those officers had their body cams on. Sir, Dalton stammered. There might have been some technical difficulties with the cameras. Effective immediately, the FBI director's voice commanded. Officers Rickman and Hardy are suspended, pending a full federal investigation. Malcolm stood. I'll need my personal effects returned, Chief. And I believe a state trooper is waiting to drive me home. Outside, State Trooper Williams stood at attention. Director Everett, sir, I'm here to escort you home. As they drove down Oak Street, Mrs. Willis stood on her porch, phone in hand. That's right, baby. FBI Director. They picked the wrong one this time. Throughout the afternoon, neighbors stopped by. Some brought food. Others shared stories of their own run-ins with Dalton's department. Hope filled their voices as evening settled. Malcolm sat on his porch. A pickup truck crawled past, its engine growling low. The headlights swept across the porch, lingering longer than necessary. The grandfather clock struck midnight. Malcolm walked the familiar rooms. A cool breeze touched his face. That wasn't right. All the windows were closed. The living room was destroyed. Papers scattered everywhere, photo albums ripped apart. On the coffee table lay a note. Leave, or else. Malcolm pulled out his phone, taking photos. Under the couch, something caught his eye. A small black device with a tiny blinking light. A listening bug. Glass exploded inward as a brick sailed through the front window. Malcolm dropped to the floor. Through the broken window, he glimpsed a figure in dark clothing darting across his lawn. Malcolm launched himself toward the door, pursuing the shadow. Just as he was about to grab the intruder's jacket, they vaulted over Mrs. Willis's fence and disappeared. Within minutes, Officers Peterson and Martinez pulled up. Well, Peterson drawled. Having some trouble settling in, Director? Probably just kids, Peterson said, not even bothering to look at the damage that a car door slammed. Councilwoman Anita Rhodes strode toward them. Officers, I trust you're conducting a thorough investigation. Just wrapping up, ma'am. Once the police left, Anita grabbed Malcolm's arm. Inside now. In the ransacked living room, Anita pulled a folded paper from her jacket. This isn't random, Malcolm. She spread the paper on the table. His name was at the top, marked with a red X. Everyone on this list. There are people who've challenged the power structure here. Some disappeared, some had accidents, others just gave up and left town. She gripped his arm. Malcolm, these people play for keeps. The arrest this morning, Malcolm said slowly. It wasn't just overzealous cops, was it? They knew exactly who you were, Anita confirmed. They wanted to send a message, but it backfired. And now they're scared. Please, Malcolm, you need to leave. No, Anita, I'm not running. The morning sun cast long shadows through the Venetian blinds in Councilwoman Anita Rhodes's office. Malcolm sat watching as Anita pulled file after file from a locked cabinet. I've been collecting these for years, she said. Every time someone came to me with a complaint, I made copies. Malcolm opened the first folder. Inside were dozens of complaints against the police department. Many were marked dismissed or no action required. Anita opened another drawer and pulled out a map of Cypress Bayou. Red dots marked dozens of properties. Each dot represents a family who lost their home in the last 5 years. Notice anything? Malcolm studied the pattern. They're all within 3 blocks of the proposed highway expansion. Exactly. Anita spread out more documents. The mayor's office claims it's just coincidence, but look at the signatures. A knock at the door. A young black man in his late 20s stood in the doorway. Corey Johnson. I write for the Cypress Bayou Chronicle. Corey's been working on this story for months, Anita explained. The pattern goes back decades, Corey explained, turning his laptop screen. Every time there's a major development project, the same thing happens. Black families start getting hit with code violations, property tax reassessments, criminal charges. By the time the project breaks ground, the neighborhood's been cleared out. For the next hour, they piece together the puzzle. Judges who rubber-stamped eviction orders. Bank officers who expedited foreclosures. Police who carried out lightning-fast evictions. The county clerk's office opens at 1, Anita said. If we hurry, we can pull the original property records. The county clerk's office was housed in a squat brick building. Inside, they approached the front desk. The clerk looked up and immediately tensed. We need to review some property records from the past 5 years, Malcolm said. They followed her to the archive room. Metal shelves stretched from floor to ceiling, packed with property records. They split up, each taking different sections. Got something, Anita said after 20 minutes. Properties in black neighborhoods suddenly jumping in value by 300% right before foreclosure proceedings. Here's more, Corey added. Deed transfers with impossible dates. This one shows Mrs. Williams signing over her property 3 weeks after her funeral. Malcolm caught movement through the glass door. Officers Rickman and Hardy were talking to Mrs. Pearson at her desk. We've got company, Malcolm murmured. Anita, start taking photos of everything. Si, back up what you can. They gathered their notes carefully. As they stepped into the hallway, Officer Hardy suddenly bumped hard into Corey. When Corey straightened up, his face went tight. The USB drive was gone. Not everything, Anita assured him, patting her phone. I got most of it backed up. Malcolm watched the officers emerge from the building. Let's meet at my house in an hour. We need to plan our next move carefully. Corey's apartment was a small one-bedroom unit above a laundromat. Malcolm paced the cramped living room. Most of Corey's research was still there. Malcolm's phone buzzed. Mrs. Willis's name flashed. Malcolm, baby, listen carefully now. You got a snake in your garden. Not everyone showing you friendship means you well. Before he could share Mrs. Willis's warning, heavy footsteps thundered up the external stairs. Police, open up. The front door burst open. Officers flooded in, weapons drawn. Everyone on the ground, Hardy shouted. Now, what's the meaning of this? Malcolm asked. Rickman thrust a paper at him. Search warrant. Mr. Johnson here is suspected of stealing confidential county documents. The officers began ransacking the apartment. Years of investigative work scattered and trampled under muddy boots. Anita's phone chimed with a text. Her face went ash white. Malcolm caught a glimpse of a photo, her teenage son's face in surveillance footage. Another text followed. Back off or your son goes down for good. Corey Johnson, Rickman announced. You're under arrest. They marched Corey down the stairs. Malcolm watched from the window as Corey was pushed into a squad car. Malcolm walked the empty streets of Cypress Bayou, his brown trench coat billowing. He pulled out his phone, calling Agent Sarah Chun. Sarah, I need your help. Things are worse than we thought down here. Malcolm outlined everything. They're organized, Sarah. This goes deep. I need you to quietly put together a task force. Consider it done. I'll have a team ready within 48 hours. Headlights suddenly blazed behind him. Malcolm spun around to see a pickup truck accelerating straight at him. He dove to the side, rolling across Mrs. Willis's front lawn. The vehicle skidded to a stop. 3 men in ski masks jumped out, gripping baseball bats and metal pipes. Malcolm rose slowly. You really don't want to do this. The largest attacker swung his bat. Malcolm stepped inside the arc, grabbing the man's wrist and twisting sharply. The second man rushed in with a pipe. Malcolm blocked with his forearm, countered with a strike to the throat. The third man charged. Malcolm redirected him into the truck's hood. A wallet fell from the man's jacket pocket. FBI, drop your weapons. Malcolm's voice cut through the night. The truck roared to life. The attackers stumbled after it. Malcolm let them go, focusing instead on the wallet. Inside, he found a driver's license for Deputy Mayor Thomas Green. Pain shot through his leg as he limped toward his house. Every breath hurt. His trench coat was torn and muddy, spattered with blood. The morning sun crept over Cypress Bayou's horizon. Malcolm sat in a corner booth at May's Diner, his coffee untouched. His face bore the evidence of last night's fight. Anita Rhodes entered, looking like she hadn't slept. She slid into the booth. "You look like hell." Malcolm pulled out Deputy Mayor Green's wallet and placed it between them. "One of them left us a present." "Thomas Green." Anita's eyes widened. "Any word on Corey?" "They're holding him without bail." "Your son?" "Nothing." Her voice cracked. "The photos they sent, they staged it perfectly." Malcolm pulled out his phone. "I contacted Carmen Rodriguez at the Washington Post. She's ready to run the story." "That's not enough." Anita reached into her bag, pulling out a thick manila envelope. Internal memos, backdated permits, emails between Green and developers. "I've got backup coming, too," Malcolm said. "A task force is assembling quietly." "Something's happening," Malcolm said. "Since last night, I've received dozens of messages. People coming forward, sharing stories, evidence. Rodriguez is running the story tomorrow. National coverage. Once it breaks, state and federal investigations will follow." That night, Malcolm's phone lit up with a new message. "Anonymous. Town hall tomorrow. Show what you've got. The world will be watching." The evening sun cast long shadows through the windows of Cypress Bayou's town hall. Every wooden bench creaked under the weight of bodies packed shoulder to shoulder. Camera crews lined the back wall. Malcolm adjusted his brown trench coat, hiding a wince. Beside him, Anita clutched a thick folder. Corey Johnson, released just hours ago, had his journalist's notebook out. "Ready?" Malcolm asked them quietly. They entered through the side door. Mayor Wallace-Sutter stood at the podium. "Now, folks, let's maintain order." "Point of order." Malcolm's voice carried clearly. "I believe public comment is first on the agenda, and I have something to say." "Mr. Everett, this isn't Dr. Everett," Corey called out. "Or should we say, Director Everett of the Federal Bureau of Investigation." The room erupted in murmurs. Malcolm walked steadily to the center aisle. "Mr. Mayor, I've prepared a presentation about property rights, police conduct, and the systematic displacement of black families in Cypress Bayou." The first image filled the screen, a map of their town with dozens of properties highlighted in red. "These are the homes," Malcolm said, "that were seized through fraudulent means over the past 5 years." He clicked to the next slide. Emails between the mayor's office and local developers. Then came the audio recordings. Green's voice discussing which families to target next. People in the crowd gasped. Mrs. Willis stood up. "They did this to my sister's family." Others joined in. A chorus of long-suppressed truth breaking free. "The most damning evidence came from your own people." Malcolm nodded to the back, where 3 town clerks stood. These brave individuals documented everything. The mayor lunged for the microphone. "This meeting is adjourned. Officers, remove these people." The back door swung open. Men and women in FBI windbreakers filed in. Malcolm's FBI badge gleamed. "I don't think so, Mr. Mayor. This is the beginning of a federal investigation into corruption, civil rights violations, and criminal conspiracy." Anita stepped forward. "And a class action lawsuit. Every family you stole from is named." Corey held up his phone. "No one can bury this story now." The crowd surged to their feet. Applause thundered through the room. Malcolm clicked to the final slide. A simple list of names. These are the families who lost their homes. Their stories will be heard. Their property will be restored. And those responsible will face justice. The victory felt distant now as Malcolm gripped his steering wheel, driving through the dark streets. His phone buzzed. A text from Anita. "Be careful. They're desperate now." His rearview mirror filled with blinding headlights. A black SUV appeared from nowhere, engine roaring. The SUV slammed into his rear bumper. Malcolm pressed the accelerator, but the SUV rammed him again harder. The SUV pulled alongside. Then came the metallic glint of gun barrels. The first shots shattered his driver's side window. Malcolm ducked, yanking the wheel hard right. His car slammed into a curb, airbags deploying. The SUV screeched to a stop. 4 men jumped out, weapons raised. Malcolm kicked his door open and rolled out. More shots cracked through the night. One bullet clipped his left arm that he scrambled behind a parked car, blood already soaking his shirt sleeve. "Get him!" a voice shouted. Malcolm sprinted between houses, vaulting fences. He could hear his pursuers crashing through bushes behind him. His arm throbbed, leaving a trail of blood droplets. A bullet splintered the fence beside his head. Malcolm dove behind a children's playset. He spotted a shed tucked against the back of the nearest house. One solid kick and the door splintered open. Inside, he pressed himself between a lawn mower and stacked flower pots. His fingers trembled as he pulled out his phone. He typed the FBI emergency code. "Check the shed." A voice growled. Malcolm hit send just as a flashlight beam cut through the gaps in the wooden walls. "Cops," someone hissed. "They're coming from both directions." The footsteps retreated. Sirens wailed, getting closer. Malcolm sagged against the wall, his consciousness flickering. His phone buzzed weakly. Breaking news alerts about his criminal past. The mayor's office was already spinning their story. Malcolm's head dropped to his chest. "Still here," he whispered. But the darkness was winning. Malcolm's eyes fluttered open to harsh fluorescent lights and the steady beep of medical monitors. Cold metal pressed against his right wrist, handcuffs securing him to the hospital bed rail. "Welcome back," Anita's voice said softly. 2 days. You lost a lot of blood." Malcolm nodded toward the handcuffs. "Then why these?" "Mayor Sutter's last attempt to save himself. He's claiming you're a danger to the community." Anita's expression hardened. "They're trying to destroy your credibility." She reached into her purse and carefully slipped something beneath Malcolm's pillow. "While you were out, we kept gathering evidence. This recorder has everything." Malcolm felt the shape of the recorder. "They'll try to stop us from releasing it. They already are. But they can't stop a live broadcast." Malcolm pressed the call button. When a nurse appeared, he said clearly, "I'd like to hold a press conference right here, right now." Despite protests from his doctors, Malcolm insisted on sitting up in bed. He draped his signature brown trench coat over his shoulders. News cameras crowded into his room. Malcolm's fingers found the recorder beneath his pillow. 2 days ago, I was shot for exposing corruption in Cypress Bayou. Today, I'll finish what I started." He pressed play. The mayor discussing kickbacks. Chief Dalton ordering illegal surveillance. Officers laughing about forged eviction notices. As he spoke, FBI agents were already moving. Teams descended on City Hall and the police station. On his hospital room TV, Malcolm watched federal agents lead a parade of handcuffed officials to waiting vehicles. Social media exploded. Hashtags trended. The conspiracy was unraveling in real time. In neighborhoods across Cypress Bayou, people stepped onto their porches, watching history unfold. Decades of fear finally lifting. The late summer sun blazed down on the courthouse steps as Malcolm Everett adjusted his brown trench coat. Handmade signs bobbed above people's heads. "Justice at last," and "Our homes, our rights." Federal agents moved purposefully in and out of City Hall. They carried boxes of files and computer equipment. "Never thought I'd see the day," Mrs. Willis said beside Malcolm. Anita Rhodes approached. "The first housing restoration orders just came through. 23 families getting their deeds back today." A cheer went up from the crowd. Corey Johnson pushed through. "They're bringing out the former mayor now." Former Mayor Sutter emerged in handcuffs, his expensive suit replaced by orange prison scrubs. He kept his eyes down as agents led him to a waiting vehicle. "Let the justice system handle him now," Malcolm said firmly. "We're better than mockery." One by one, other arrested officials followed. Malcolm's former deputy director emerged. "Director Everett, the Attorney General sends his regards. He'd like you back in Washington next week to discuss expanding this initiative nationwide." Malcolm nodded, but his attention was on the families now receiving their restoration papers. Children danced around their parents' legs as deeds were signed. "You did this, Malcolm," Mrs. Willis said. "We all did it," he corrected gently. "This is what community looks like." Anita stepped up to the podium, holding up an ornate golden key. This key once represented the power certain people held over our town. Today, we reclaim it as a symbol of something else: justice, truth, and the courage to fight for what's right. She turned to Malcolm. "Dr. Malcolm Everett didn't just expose corruption. He reminded us who we really are." Malcolm accepted the key, holding it up so everyone could see. Camera flashes sparked from the media section. He looked out at the faces before him. Mrs. Willis wiping happy tears. Corey scribbling in his notebook. Anita standing proud. Families holding their children close, finally feeling secure in their own homes. This was what justice looked like. Not just laws and courts and badges, but people standing together, refusing to back down, demanding better. A community healing. The morning sun painted golden streaks across freshly trimmed lawns as Malcolm stepped onto his front porch. The scent of barbecue and sounds of soul music filled the air. His street had transformed. Children raced bikes while their parents chatted across yard lines. Mrs. Willis waved from her porch swing, surrounded by children. When she spotted Malcolm, she beckoned him over. Corey jogged up with his camera. "Mind if I get a few more interviews for the follow-up piece?" "As long as you get the whole story," Malcolm replied. "Not just my part in it." The smell of grilled chicken drew people toward long tables set up in the middle of the street. Church ladies competed to see whose potato salad would disappear first. "Everyone," Anita called out, tapping a microphone. "Thanks to the settlement funds and generous donations, we're launching the Everett Fellowship for Young Leaders. Every year, 10 local students will receive full college scholarships." Applause erupted. Parents hugged their children tighter. Malcolm watched as families who'd lost homes embraced neighbors who'd helped them fight back. Mrs. Willis pulled Malcolm onto the dance floor. Despite his protests about his injured arm, she insisted he attempt the electric slide. "See," Mrs. Willis laughed. "Justice got rhythm, too." The day stretched on, sun high and bright. Children played tag. Older residents shared stories of the neighborhood's past. Someone had hung a banner between two trees. "Welcome home, Cypress Bayou." As afternoon settled into early evening, Malcolm watched it all from his porch steps. His brown trench coat was draped over the railing. The stars began to peek out one by one. As dusk approached, Malcolm sat back in his chair, feeling the gentle weight of contentment settle over him. Justice, he realized, wasn't just about laws and courts. It was about restoration, about bringing light back to places that had been kept in shadow for too long.